Hello everybody, welcome back to the Me, Myself, and I playthrough of Unconditional Surrender's main event. I'm Dren608. Game is published by GMT Games, was designed by Salvatore Vasta. When we last left off, excuse me, it was the end of September. Not a lot had happened. Actually, we had gotten through October, and we are now going to be in the November 1940 turn. The weather will have some special effects again by the new weather rules. That's why I go through these steps here, because I am using the new weather rules, the optional rules that Sal published. You cannot have the same weather as what was in the month before. So we can't have fair weather in the warm zone. It's going to be poor or severe, and so on. So when you bring up the weather chart here, you take a quick look and see if there's only two choices. You just make it the other one. But there's multiple choices here. So when I'm rolling for the cold zone, I cannot. A 5 and a 6 is re-rolled because we can't have severe again. So for the cold zone, I rolled a 5. Can't have a severe 2 times in a row under the new rules between October and November. So I roll again and roll another 5. Okay. It wants to roll. Now Vassal wants to roll 5s. Last turn it was rolling 1s. There we go. There's a 4. So that makes the weather in the cold zone poor. The same thing applies to the mild zone. So I roll with the mild zone. I get a 5, which is severe, which I can't have. So I roll again. I get a 3, which is poor. Okay, and now in the warm zone, I have to re-roll a 1 or a 2 because it's fair there, and it can't be fair both in October and November. A 5 makes it poor. So, poor weather across the map. It's not really going to affect a lot of what I'm doing here because this is going to be, it might be the fastest turn you see done by me for a long time. I will not declare war this turn because poor weather. Economy phase, I've already taken care of that. Do notice that the British are now down to 12 because they had 9. And they had to take away 3 factory loss. So that left them only with 6 to multiply by 2. So they're down to 12. So the strategic warfare is starting to tell on the British. Takes care of the economy phase for everybody. Strategic warfare phase, I'm still at +3 for the Germans because of my 2 ports with an aircraft in Norway and Brest. So I'm +3 with the Germans. The British don't have anything. However, the Germans really want to try and push it on the British. So they are going to actually play their submarines marker. Why don't I go up by the... There's a sea zone or something by Norway. So I'm going to play my submarines marker, which will have the British die roll. And then I roll for the Germans. A 5 plus a 3 is an 8. And with the British being halved, I believe I will automatically get halved by 5 halved is 2.5, round up to 3. So an 8 to a 3, yeah, when they were halved, I was going to get a factory off them no matter what with that high a die roll. So sometimes you don't even need to roll the dice on the results. So the Germans can't go any lower than 1, but the British are now up to 4 lost factories, which means they'll only have 5 next turn. But I do believe, if you look on the turn track, that they're going to get their Commonwealth trade next turn, which means their factory count will go up by 3 permanently, because it'll be on the factory extra factories marker, and those are never affected by strategic warfare. So it's a good thing that I probably pushed them another one down, because they're going to get a bunch of factories next turn, which I don't like, but that's the way it does. I have to roll for the German submarine, see how long it's going to take for it to come home. Oh, it's coming back next turn. That is very nice. That I will see them along with the British units. So when they get their factories up, I have a good chance of taking them down another one for the following turn. And that takes care of strategic warfare. Strategic movement, the Germans do have one. Where did I put that marker now? Where did I put that marker? It's up here, right? Yeah, it's up here. So we need to take the card. It's always in the way. Just want the strategic movement marker. The Germans will just go ahead and pick up the 1st Panzer here. Put the strategic movement marker on the 1st Panzer. And just move him over under the first, by where the 1st Luft is, so that probably should put the airplane on top. Okay, that takes care of my strategic movement. The West, I didn't see any strategic moves for the West or the Soviets. The operations phase for the Axis, if you look at their player card track here, their national tracks, they have 28. So what they're going to do is move the 2nd Panzer, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll go ahead and move it to there. That was 2 production points. 2. Oh, no, they aren't going to do that. 2. That's right. I was going to do something else. Told you this is going to be a fast turn. I'm not going to activate any units. Go down and play with the Italians. Again, the Italian attack here is no good. Italians are not going to do anything either. The Axis has to do their supply. They're just going to do exactly what they did the last turn, except the one in Benghazi is considered no supply at all, so he goes up to this. This guy is at low supply because he's supplied through Tripoli. Oh dear. I do have to supply 3 of them. So I guess I am going to run this guy here to try and supply Alagalia. The British, sensing a chance here, are going to go ahead and intercept with this fleet. So the Italians are -3, the British are a straight die roll, because they're +2 and -2 for sorties. So the British roll a 2, and the Italians roll a 4 -3 is a 1. If you go and look on the combat results table, 2 and a 1 is a diamond, so nothing happens. They each take a sortie. The escort is successful, so the supply trace gets through, so the convoy goes up to 6, and I did supply LL Gallia. Oops, not the unit, don't need to take off the unit, just the supply marker. Okay, now I can do my shenanigans of this guy goes officially unsupplied so that he gets a marker. This guy draws low supply from Tripoli along with LL Tobruk, and I only supply this guy here. I'm trying to get my sorties down on over here so that I can kind of keep this going, but things are not working out well for me here with only 12 production points. And then that's the Axis operations phase. They are not going to spend a sortie to supply this airplane, so I need to. This airplane is going to actually be at low supply because I have other things in mind for my production points. Those of you that remember, you'll know exactly what I'm trying to do. The Western faction, knowing exactly what I'm going to try and do, and knowing that they will have probably 8 factories, which is 16 production points next turn, are going to try and reset as much as they can this turn with their 12. So they're just not going to do anything either. They have to do their supply shenanigans. This time they're just going to go ahead and take Port Said up to 4 and leave everybody else just the way they are. And that is the Western. Soviets have no ops. There is no supply. Replacements. The Germans will have placed no replacements either. The Italians will, but the Germans won't. And the Italians will spend their 12. Take down the convoy. And why did this convoy go to 2? He should have been at 4. Now he goes down to 2. That's 6. Leaves me at 6. And then I'm going to... Just the fleet? Here? Yes. And then I'm going to reduce that fleet as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to leave the airplane at... it's 3 sorties because I need to really get the fleets in better order here. And the Germans will be able to send production points to the Italians next turn, and then they'll be able to do more. But right now they're kind of stuck with trying to do this way. And you'll see why in a moment when we get to the builds. The West has 12. So they're going to spend 3 here. That takes them down to 9. They can't really do anything with the other place, the Force H. So they're just going to bring the Med Fleet down. And that ends them at 5. The Germans are still at 28. And the Russians don't have any replacements. There are no upgrades. Mobilization. This is where the Axis spends all their production points. They are going to... First thing they're going to do is they're going to spend 20 to put their surprise marker 4 turns ahead on the turn track. So 4 turns from November is 1, 2, 3, 4. They'll get it in March of 1941. That was what all that was about, to try and get my surprise marker back for possible use in Russia. Or maybe a surprise invasion someplace if the Italians can pull something off, but I doubt it. And then they will spend 3 to mobilize the armor and the garrison. Just hop around the map here. The garrison unit will go here in Aachen. And then the armored unit will actually be dropped here in Posen, because that is actually a German-controlled city. And then that is the German mobilization. The West doesn't have any. And where am I at? Oh, and the Soviets don't have any either. So we're at the diplomacy phase. Told you it was going to be a relatively quick turn. The Germans are going to spend 5. Looking at the Diplomacy Cup, there's 2 no events, 2 political successes and a pro-German marker, and a political failure. So there's a chance I could get blowed up, but I'm going to go ahead and try and pull a marker because it's actually in my favor at the moment at 50-50 shot of getting a pro. It doesn't get much better than that. And I pulled a no event. Wow, this leads the British to go ahead and decide that they're going to... What an interesting dilemma to be in. I could load it up with no events. I could try to pull a marker and see if I get away with something. Or I could actually load it up to try and make sure the Russians have a better chance of getting away with something. Dilemma. I'm going to be aggressive and hope I can get the Russians to do stuff. I'm going to put in the political success, and the Russian then will be able to, and a no event, of course. And then the Russian gets to choose. So the plan is for the Russian to pull. So he does. He got a political success, which is what he wanted to get. The question is does he want to be as many successes as are in there? He could put a pro-Soviet in Hungary. Hungary is adjacent to what is now a Russian part of eastern Poland. So I could drop one into there. The only other place I could do is I could drop one in Turkey. Now that's an interesting dilemma for the Soviets. If you're playing this as three separate people, and I'm the Soviets, I think that I want to drop it in Turkey, because if I can get that kind of flank on Germany, if I get another one of these, things could be very bad for Germany. They have to fight Turkey too, besides the Soviets. Could slow their advance down if I can get another political success. Right? So that's what we're going to do with the Soviets. We're going to play them as an individual player, not as a team player for both sides. And that's the end of diplomacy phase. They haven't conquered me. It's the end of turn phase. How do I need those? I need the turn track and then the faction card. And then as we go into December, the Germans get their subs back, so they're happy people. They also get an infantry unit. The British get their naval evacuation back. Not that it'll be used very often. And the most important thing that they get is the Commonwealth trade marker, which is pushed on their extra factories 3 box. So now, even though they're down 4 factories from strategic warfare, which means they would only have 5, they now get to add 3 to that 5. So they will have 8, and they'll be back up at 16. So all that work I did to chop up their factories, and they're still going to be where they were before we started strategic warfare. They'll be up at 16, which is right where they were before. So I have more work to cut out to try and cut into the British production capabilities. And now we're at December. I'm going to take a quick check on seeing how long this turn is going. I think I'm going to be able to put in December as well. Hi everybody. I did decide to go ahead and see if we can tack in December of 1940 here, because it should be not too awful long. I did do some of the stuff offline. The weather phase I did not do. It's going to be straight die rolls. I thought you might want to see what happens here. It's whatever we roll. There's no special rules finally for the next 3 months, and then come April there'll be a special rule again. So cold zone is a 2. In December is a poor, so it stays poor. In the fair zone, it's a 5, so it went to severe. And then in the warm zone is a 5 as well. That's poor. So weather's correct. We move on to declare war. No. Economy phase. I've already done everybody's factories. Notice the British number here. 9 minus 4 is 5. Then you get to add the 3 factories. That's 8. Puts them at 16 production points. So they got a nice shot in the arm there. The Germans are at 27, you'll see. I gave one to the Italians because it'll make them be able to do more sortie recovery, which I think is kind of important for them as we are moving forward. And that's economy. Strategic warfare. We're still at the +3 to 0. The Germans got back their subs, so they're going to just go ahead and play it again. Subs marker is out. So, German roll, British are halved. The British roll a 9. If you look at the CRT, the best the British can get is a 3. A 9 to a 3 is they're going to lose another factory. So, we'll just go do that. Factory loss marker is up to 5. And then I have to roll to see how long it takes my submarines to come back. 5 turns this time. So, no quick turnaround on the subs. They must have gotten their destroyers out there to start doing some work, I guess. Where'd my sub go? It's hiding. Other way, other way, other way. Oh, I hate it when I click the wrong way. Here we go. Submarines, 5 turns from December 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. May of 1941 is when I'll see those subs again. So it'll be a long time here before I can start affecting his strategic warfare. We'll just have to depend on the die roll pluses. Okay. Strategic warfare, strategic movement. It's over here. Take that, put it on my card, and then decide what I want to move next. I really don't have a whole lot I want to move. I guess I want to be able to repair that airplane. So I think maybe I'll just move the 2nd Infantry since it's the farthest behind. And the 8th isn't on a rail line. So we'll move him over, let's say right here. And that takes care of my strategic movement. I don't see any for the British or the Soviets. Operations phase for the Axis. Again, this is going to be a lot of migrationing, I think. I have 27. So let's put ourselves over here and take off 3 build points for these guys. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. First. 1, 2, 3 doesn't matter. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can get there. And the 8th Army. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Heading east. 2nd Panzer Army is still haven't made Hungary move towards me, so I'm going to delay myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to go 7, 8. 9, 10. I'll be adjacent to Budapest. So that's 1, 2, 3 infantry, 4, 5. I started at 27, I'm at 22. So far, I'm still good. The 3rd Panzer. Do need to get another Panzer over here. Infantry. I'm trying to think of how many I need to. Probably have 12 to do on 12 for everything I want to keep. That would put me down to 10, so I'm limited to about, and I have an infantry to build, so like 4 more guys I can move. 4 more movement points worth of people. I think I only want to move this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we'll move 10th. 1, 2. Whoops. Am I moving an airplane with me? I'm moving an airplane. I don't want to move the airplane. That would cost sorties. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He'll be in place. That's 3 more. 3. So if I spend 12, I'd have 7. So, and I want to build one so I can move one more guy if I want. Let's move the 11th. 1, 2, 3, just for kicks. Okay. So that's another one. And I'm done, I think. I'm going to double check my count here. 1, 2, 3. Little alarms going off everywhere. 1, 2, 3 infantry, 4, 5, 6, 7 to here, 8, 9 there. That's 9. 9 from 27. I only spent 9 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points. Oh, that's right, you can move that one. So 9 points puts me at, started at 27, 9 points would be 28. So, there I am. Okay, onwards and outwards. The Italians, do the Italians really want to do anything? I think I'm kind of in the same boat as the British. I really need to get my navy in shape before I can do anything. Just life is not working out real well here. I'm going to have to supply 3 units this turn. Or no, you can go to no supply. And I supply 1, 2 units on no supply, and then these guys would stay at low supply, so I'll have to do it next turn, I think, is when I have to supply 3. If I did my counting right. So once again, the Italians just kind of sit here until I can get my sorties down. The extra build point will help me when it gets to that point. Supply phase, I'm just going to supply 2. That is the convoy. The guy in the front line and the Tobruk guy. Because I'm worried about the British coming after me now. The one that's in Benghazi and the one that's in Tripoli will draw supply from Tripoli, leaving El Galia to be out of supply, which means he gets a marker. And you can basically play this game. You supply 2, 2 take low supply, and then the other one goes into being unsupplied. And you can play that game for a little while. Sooner or later it catches up with you and you end up with somebody that has to go into no supply from a low supply state, and then they get losing steps and bad things happen to you. Onwards, the Western operations phase. I've seriously thought about trying to do an assault to take this ridge, bringing the 9th Army up to like 5543 or 5542, and the Western Desert Force to 5543. But I mean, I throw in the tanks marker and an extra one for the assault, I'd be at +1 for British, +2 for tanks, that's +3, +4, -1, it'd be a +3, and he can throw a tanks marker for a +2. So, I don't know how well that would go. That would cost me 3 production points out of the 16. If I keep the 16, I think I can get 2 sorties off of Force H, as well as clean up some other things with the other 9. I'd still have 2 build, well, another 6. So that'd be 11 out of 16, and I'd still be able to go into the diplomacy phase. So that's what I'm thinking is I'm going to do the 5 and 2 3-pointers like convoy, and I didn't do supply last turn, did I? No, I didn't. Yes, I did. This one went up to 4, and then I took him down by 2. Okay, so I did do it right last turn. So I'm being super conservative, I guess. I'm not gonna go after the Italians till I have my fleets and my aircraft all set and ready to play the dancing games. That'll become clear later on once I know the Germans have actually gone into Russia. You'll see me dance around getting the BEF into the Middle East and taking a garrison to go sit in England just to prevent any surprise invasions. Make sure the Germans keep going east. So, and of course, I have to do my supply down here. I keep forgetting to do my supply. So again, this will go up to 4. And then I'll just be taking it off, hopefully. There is no operations for the Soviets. We split out. We go to the replacements. The Italians this time can do 369 plus 4, which is 13. So they can take this convoy down 2, this convoy down 2, and the airplane down 2, and then they're going to make this fleet be whole, I think. Whoops, don't want to do that. Just make it go away. There we go. So I can possibly, have a decent escort here. Of course, the British are almost at full, so it's not that decent of an escort, but it's something. And then the Germans want to go spend 3 here. Again, don't want to do that. I just want to make that go away. So that's 3. Oh, I forgot to do my supply up here. I would have had to take a sortie to keep this thing in supply, because I want to take 2 sorties off of it, and the airplane that's in France. So that's 3, 6, 9, and then 12 was to clear this guy. That's why I did it that way, because the extra sortie doesn't hurt me there. He's down to 1 sortie. He's down to 2. So that's 6 points, clears them. All these airplanes in the east now are at full sorties. Obviously, I'm going to have to move the ones that are not. They're kind of lined up to go into Budapest if they have to. If I can't get the political things to start happening my way, which with the Russians getting Turkey, I might have a southern front I wasn't expecting. Invading through Bulgaria and capturing Bucharest and knocking the Romanians out of the war. So I have to now start thinking about all that kind of stuff. That's the Axis replacements. I should have taken down, would have gone down 12. So 1, 2. I was at 19, so I'd be at 6. So yeah. The Italians are at technically 0. Okay, so on the West does something similar. They have 16. So they're going to spend 5 for sure, or do I want to do this a different way? They're definitely going to spend 3 to take this down. So we know we're going to spend 3. And then I could spend 5 and 3 more and still be able to do production. So I'll spend 1, 2, 3, 5. That's going to be on the Force H, because it's so hard for me to get Force H to be combat ready. Oh, come on. And that was down to 8, and then I can spend 3 more for either a convoy or maybe I just want to clear the airplanes. Just clear this airplane. Just make the first RAF just happy. Okay, and of course the Soviets don't have any. There are no upgrades, mobilization. The Axis, we'll double check. I think they're up. Yes, they have an infantry unit. We must build our infantry. That's why I saved that extra build point for them, so they can just build this infantry. He's going to go be built back in Posen where the armor left from, so that he's close to the front. And there's no one else that has mobilization to build. What did I do? I just grabbed the garrison unit out of conditional. I am such an idiot. It's the 17th Infantry is supposed to be built. So watch what you grab when you're in a Vassal module. You might be grabbing the wrong unit. I wonder why you can't upgrade it. Okay. No one else had mobilization. Diplomacy phase. Well, now we're in a slightly different situation. There's 2 political successes and a German pro marker, so that's 3. There's 2 no events, that's 5. And then there's a political failure. 50-50 shot for me getting a pro to try and get Hungary headed my way. I almost have to do it, so I should kick myself in the foot if I just tried to reload the cup at this point. 50-50 shot, I've got to take my chances. And I got a political success. Part of me wants to not put it in Hungary, but I think I almost have to try and get it headed my way. Where did I put those? I put them on the turn track. God, I can't remember what I'm doing. I did this for convenience, and then I don't remember where I put stuff. So that's going in Hungary. Yay. Now the British have 5. And the question is, do they want to pull, or do they want to stack it up for the Soviets to try and get the Soviets to get Turkey? I think maybe we want to stack it, because Turkey on our side means the Middle East is secure for me forever. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to put the political success and a no event back in the cup and see if the Soviets will play. And the Soviets are kind of like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. So they'll go ahead and pull a chit. Political failure. Well, there goes the pro-Russian chit here in Turkey. We're going to be putting that back on the turn track, because that's all I can really do as the Germans. Because the only other country that's really adjacent to Soviet Union that I can do anything with would have been Hungary, and I already have a marker there, so I can't advance the marker, because political failure doesn't let you do that. I don't think. Or does it? I need to go check the rules. Hang on just a minute here. Okay, quick check of the rules, kids. A political failure, if it's adjacent to the guy who pulled the political failure, which in this case was the Russians, and Hungary is adjacent, and with a pro-axis marker in it, I can actually activate the unit, the country. So I get Hungary on my side. I don't have to worry about attacking him. They're not really that great as far as, like, sending you great troops or giving you anything super powerful. But by being able to activate as an Axis ally, I now have a rail line and movement paths that I can run into Romania, and I can actually build a real southern army to attack the Russians. And then I don't have to actually conquer them to do this. They're not very hard to conquer themselves. If you willpower of 4, it doesn't take much to take them down. They only have 1 factory, so and they have like 2 militias and a real army. So we'll put the real army towards the Russian front, I guess, just for kicks. We'll stick a militia in Budapest so I don't forget to keep myself garrisoned. And what the heck? Zolnok for now. And that means the Romanian third then. Knowing that happens, now next turn he's going to start heading over towards the Russian front, because he knows he's going to have German help. So that makes a huge difference in strategic warfare, because the Germans will not have to attack and conquer Hungary, putting them over 6, which is sort of a magic number. It's either, if you're going to go over 6, you might as well go to 9. just didn't work out this time on the political phase. The Russians got all their stuff early, and then trying to do things with the British to sabotage the Germans did not work. Although they still have a pro in Turkey, so they still have a chance of possibly turning that flank. We'll just have to wait and see till next turn. Diplomacy is done. They haven't conquered Germany yet, so the game's not over. We go to end of turn phase. Just bring up the turn track and the faction card. We are going into January of 1941, and everything that comes out of there is German. Okay, all these counters are German. There's a tank, the Africa Corps, and the 15th Army. So, 15th Army, the Africa Corps, Africa Army. And then in my events box, I get a tanks marker, just like the British. Yay. So, we'll have to see if I decide to go south with any German units. We will begin the next time. We will be going off to start of 1941. The Germans are in a pretty good place right now. The Russians are in a fairly good place, so I think the cataclysm is coming. This has been the Me, Myself, and I playthrough of the main event. This is Dren 608. Hope to see you next time. If you like what you're seeing, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe, or at least comment and tell me what you like. Thanks, and bye.